The war against free speech is not just a theoretical concept, it's a reality that is unfolding in many parts of the world, especially in Western nations that traditionally pride themselves on upholding human rights and democracy. This war is being waged by leaders who, while presenting themselves as democrats, display an intolerance for criticism that borders on the tyrannical. These leaders, in collaboration with kleptocratic technocrats, seek to control the narrative by suppressing any voice that challenges their authority. Governments are increasingly gravitating towards authoritarianism, evidenced by their growing efforts to censor free speech. This trend is manifesting in various forms, such as government oversight of online content, stringent regulation of speech on the internet, and the arrest and detention of citizens, particularly investigative journalists, based on their social media activity. For example, in France, Telegram CEO Paul Durov was arrested as part of an investigation into the lack of moderation on the platform.
In Brazil, opposing political parties and investigative journalists face severe censorship through court orders. In Nigeria, vocal X users and journalists are being targeted under the guise of cybercrime laws, often at the behest of elites, politicians, and celebrities who feel offended by social media posts.
In many countries, laws that ostensibly protect against hate speech and other offenses are being weaponized to suppress free speech. For instance, in Washington state, a proposed bill known as the Bias Hotline Bill would enable the government to track offensive speech. In Florida, bloggers protested a bill that would require them to register with the state if they criticize public officials.
Canada is also considering the Online Harm Act, a bill that would impose harsh criminal penalties on hate speech, potentially curtailing freedoms to prevent crimes that haven't even been committed yet. The proposed law states that anyone who advocates or promotes genocide could face life imprisonment. It also outlines lesser hate crimes, including online speech that incites hatred based on race, religion, gender, or other protected categories. In Nigeria, the Speaker of the National Assembly proposed a bill that would impose a 25-year imprisonment or a 10 million naira fine, or both, on anyone convicted of making statements that could incite separatist agitation.
These examples illustrate how the war on free speech is becoming synonymous with an assault on social media platforms, particularly X.
Elon Musk's public commitment to free speech has placed him and X at the center of this global battle. Musk has faced relentless criticism and attacks from governments worldwide. X remains one of the few platforms where people can express themselves freely. There is speculation that the arrest of the Telegram CEO is part of a broader strategy to create a precedent that could later be used against Musk.
In Brazil, for example, the government is attempting to force X and other social media companies to censor several accounts, including those of former President Jair Messias Bolsonaro, journalist Paulo Figueiredo Filho, and federal Senator Marcos Doval. This has led to threats of imprisonment for X's representatives in the country and the freezing of their bank accounts through court orders.
Freedom of speech is fundamental to any free society. Without it, no other rights can truly exist. It is the right that allows people to speak truth to power, to question authority, and to hold leaders accountable. Governments often attempt to monopolize information by labeling dissent as misinformation, hate speech, or conspiracy theories, terms that are inherently subjective. However, people must be allowed to think critically and ask questions without fear of retaliation. As Pastor Chris Oyakilome aptly said, "Man has to be a free moral being, otherwise he is less than a man, less than human. Words are the most potent things in the world, therefore humans must not be gagged. The man's personality is destroyed whose words are forbidden, so let him speak. Only when he speaks can you meet his person. Good or evil, you let him speak." Free speech is not only free when we like it, it is free when we can accommodate someone who says something we don't like. In conclusion, the global war on free speech is a fight for the very essence of freedom itself. As governments worldwide move towards increasing censorship and control, platforms like X, under the leadership of Elon Musk, stand as crucial bastions of free expression. The battle for free speech is not just about the right to speak, it's about the right to be heard, to question, and to hold those in power accountable. We must defend this right vigorously, for without it all other freedoms are at risk.